So the season starts in 1984 and we're in a Russian base. And these dummies are really trying to open up the gate again. Like, bro, y'all so slow. You guys have no idea what y'all dealing with. And everything seems to be going to plan. And you can see my boy Alexei and his comrade sigh with relief because they think they cooked and won't get punished for their failures. But Alexei peeps that something is going wrong, and that's when the machine shuts down, then explodes and proceeds to take everyone in that room. And my boy right here trying to explain what happened. He's like, hey man, I'm sorry, I promise this won't happen next time. But wannabe Terminator does not want to hear dude's excuses and executes bro right on the spot. Like, damn bro, it's not playing at all. And the ball guy tells Alexei he only has 1 year to figure out how to open the gate. And Alexei's like, yes sir, no problem. Man, I'm so cooked. It's been a year since that, and we see 11 and Mike doing a lot of smooching. And Hopper is here, and all the ruckus is coming from Elle's room, and you can tell bro is so fed up with Elle and Mike. And Hopper starts leaning back to see what Elle and Mike are doing, and he sees them making out, and he starts yelling at them, but Elle just closes the door right in bro's face. That's crazy. And Hopper's able to get in the room, but that's when Mike asks Hopper what's wrong. Like, nah, that's crazy. Mike really in this dude's crib making out with his daughter and proceeds to rage bait bro. Oh yeah, I would never let that type of disrespect slide. Bro was getting packed up right there. Mike meets up with the rest of the party at the mall because they trying to see a movie, and they're able to sneak into the showroom no problem. But that's when the power for the whole mall goes out, and that's when we see the Mindflayer, and bro was getting ready to get it back in blood. But Will starts getting goosebumps behind his neck, so he already knows something fishy is going on. My boy Dustin is back from camp, and he's low-key sad right now because no one would answer his calls. But that's when his toys start tweaking, and Dustin's hella confused on what's going on. But my boy Dustin is not taking any chances, and he picks up his hairspray and starts following his toys. But when Elle stops moving the toys, that's when they all gather up behind Dustin to surprise him. But Dustin gets jump scared and absolutely violates my boy Lucas and sprays him straight in the eyes. Confession time though, I gotta be real with y'all. When I was little, I actually sprayed perfume on my eyes. I could not tell you why I decided to do that, but I did, and it was very painful. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Dustin is showing Mike, Elle, and Will his super radio, and that's when he drops a big old atomic bomb on them and informs them that he has a girlfriend. So the party's making their way to the top of the hill to set up Dustin's super radio, but Mike tells the rest of the party that Elle has to go back home. But we all know why they want to go back home, so they can smooch each other to death. But that's when Will starts getting goosebumps again, and bro does not want to believe it, but he knows something is up. And we see an army of rats making their way to the warehouse where the Mindflayer is located, and they all start exploding. Like, ugh, bro, that shit is nasty. We see Mrs. Wheeler swimming, and Billy got his eyes on her, and when she gets out the pool, Billy tells her that they should meet up at a hotel to quote unquote teach her some more swimming moves. Like, okay buddy. But Billy's able to persuade Mrs. Wheeler to meet up at a hotel for some swimming lessons. And bro, I understand that it's the 80s and shit was a little bit different back then, but brother, Billy is literally the same age as Nancy, maybe a year older. It does not change the fact that Billy could be her own son, bro. Like, I don't care what anyone says, Mrs. Wheeler is a weirdo. But we see Hopper getting mentally ready to go talk to Mike and Elle about setting boundaries, and Hopper knocks on the door, and bro is stressing right now. He does not want to do this. And when Hopper goes in the room, he sees Mike, and look at dude's face. Like, why is bro mean mugging Hopper in his own crib? Hopper's having a real hard time trying to express his emotions right now, and Mike is just trolling bro, and he starts whispering in Elle's ear, and that makes my boy Hopper snap, and he tells Mike that his mom called and needs him home because something bad happened to his nana. Hopper and Mike are making their way to the whip, and Mike is really concerned for his nana, but that's when Hopper tells him that nothing happened to his nana, and Mike is trying to get out the car, but Hopper is not letting him go. Like, look at bro, he has lost his mind. Dustin and the party are waiting for Susie to pick up, but they get sick and tired of waiting and dip out. But that's when Dustin accidentally intercepts a Russian communication, and brother cannot believe it. But we see Mrs. Wheeler getting ready for her date with Billy. Ugh. But when she sees Ted and Holly taking a nap together, she finally comes back to her senses and changes her mind. Billy's on the way to the hotel, but that's when he gets ambushed by the Mindflayer and crashes his whip. And Billy hears something, so he starts screaming, who's there? But that's when the Mindflayer grabs bro and takes Billy to his dungeon. Oh nah, bro is overly cooked. Billy's able to get out the warehouse, but my boy is looking rough right now, and he's able to make it to a phone booth, but we see how the Mindflayer violated my boy. But Billy sees a group of people approaching him, and that's when he sees a clone of himself, and it tells Billy that it wants him to build an army. Hopper pulls up to Joyce's job to tell her that it worked, and Mike and Elle won't be seeing each other for the first time in months. And Hopper is real smooth with it because when Joyce asks how he did it, Hopper uses that to set up a date with Joyce. Like, okay, I see you, my boy. Dustin is introducing himself to Robin, and that's when Steve comes out, and he's just so happy to see his boy. But that's when he tells Steve that he intercepted a Russian communication, and Dustin tells Steve that he wants him to help him translate. Dustin is even trying to translate, but Steve is too occupied listening to the background music. But that's when Robin comes in and tells the boys that she can help because she's fluent in 4 different languages. Elle and Max pull up to the mall, and the reason why these two are hanging out is because Elle went to Max for some girl advice because Mike told Elle that they cannot hang out, and she's baffled by that. And that's also when we see the boys at the mall. Now, the reason why they're her there is because Mike wants to get Elle a gift because he lied to her. We see Billy at his job, but bro is not looking good at all. He is sweating bullets right now. But that's when he goes to the bathroom to get some cold water because y'all know the Mindflayer likes it cold. But that's when Heather pulls up to check on Billy, and Billy's just staring at her. And that's when bro snaps and snatches up his first victim. When Max and Elle are leaving the mall, that's when they see the boys leaving and they go to press them. And Mike is in awe. He cannot believe Elle is outside right now. And Elle is asking Mike why he lies. And look at Mike, he knows he's cooked right now. And that's when Elle gets close to Mike and tells him that she dumps his ass. Oh nah, not even Max can believe that Elle really stood on business. And Mike is left speechless. He cannot believe he just got dumped. But we see Hopper pulling up to answers for his date with Joyce, and my boy is looking real spiffy right now. Dustin, Steve, and Robin are able to translate the message, but they have no clue what it means. And we see Robin and Dustin yapping about the possibilities of what the message could mean. But that's when Steve activates the Indiana flyer, and Dustin realizes that that's the same music from the audio, and they're able to figure out that the message came from the mall. And we're back with Hopper, and you can tell it's been a minute because my boy is drunk and mad now. And he gets up to leave, and the waiter tells him to slow down because he cannot take that bottle with him. But this big man baby spits in bro's face and tells him that he's chief of police, he can do whatever he wants. Billy pulls up to the warehouse to give the Mindflayer Heather so he can flay her. We see Elle and Max hanging out, and that's when they come up with the idea to spy on whoever the bottle lands on. And the bottle lands straight on Billy, and bro is doing some illegal activities right now, so that is not ideal for him. And Elle sees Billy talking to Heather, but he turns around out of nowhere and sees a very blurry shadow of Elle, and that causes Elle to get out the void, and she's very shook up by the fact that Billy sentenced her. Elle and Max go into Billy's room to see if they find any suspicious things in there, and when they go into the bathroom, that's when they find Heather's fanny pack. We see Robin trying to figure out the cryptic message, and that's when a delivery man knocks on the door, and Robin peeps the logo of the delivery man, and that helps her figure out the code. Hopper and Joyce go back to the lab because Joyce thinks that it has something to do with the magnets not working, but they see that all the cavities have been filled up and nothing is going on in the lab. And we see them talking about Joyce moving out of Hawkins, and that's when Hopper hears some ruckus, so he goes to investigate what that noise was. And the Terminator out here moving like the Undertaker, a sneak attacks Hopper and absolutely putting belt to ass. Like, look how he got my boy right now. And I'm not gonna lie, Hopper got his shit rocked bad. Max and Elle break into Heather's crib, and when they find Billy, Elle cuts straight to the chase and asks him where Heather's at. But that's when Heather walks in the room, and Billy tells Max and Elle she was feeling bad, that's why they didn't go to work. And we see Max and Elle leaving, but that's when the Mindflayer gives Billy the memory of Elle closing the gate, and Will starts getting goosebumps again, and that's when he confirms to Mike and Lucas that the Mindflayer is back. Lucas is telling Max that they're in a code red, but Max does not care and turns off the walkie-talkie. But that's when Mike calls Max and tells her it's an actual emergency and they need to pull up right now. Dustin's able to find a door that leads to the Russian elevator, and he tells the others that there's a guard with a big gun. And Steve says, well, I could sneak up on bro and, you know, handle business. But then Dustin drops an unfortunate bomb of pure facts. Steve hasn't won a single fight throughout the whole show. My boy has gotten knocked out 2 seasons in a row. But hey, he did piece up that Demogorgon in season 1. That's something. Robin gets the blueprints of the mall, and she says they can find a way to the door through the vents. And Dustin tries to get in the vent, and even Steve tries to help, but the vent is just too small. But that's when Robin sees Erica, and you already know what she's thinking. Max and Elle pull up to Mike's crib, and Will starts telling the others what if the part of the Mindflayer that was in Will never left their world. And Max says that that makes no sense because Elle closed the gate. But Mike says that they cannot take any chances and they need to assume the worst, and that the Mindflayer is back. The party goes to the pool to see if Billy is doing any activities that would show him that he's a host for the Mindflayer. And that's when Mike comes up with a plan to get Billy into the sauna, because y'all know the host's biggest weakness is extreme heat. We see Erica checking out the vent, and she says that she can fit, but what's in it for her? Robin and Dustin are explaining to Erica their plan, and Erica says that that is child endangerment, and she is not wrong at all. They're telling a child to sneak into a secret Russian facility. That's crazy. But they're able to convince Erica by giving her free ice cream for life. So we see Erica making her way through the vents, out here moving like my boy Springtrap, and she makes it to the room and is able to open up the door for the others. The Scoop Troops are checking out the box, and Steve tells everyone to step back, but Dustin's a real one because he says if Steve dies, he also dies. And Steve's like, alright bro, if you say so. And when Steve pulls out the green liquid, the elevator starts moving by itself, and Dustin tries opening the door, but it is not opening no more. And that's when the elevator starts dropping down, and now these bozos are stuck in a super secret Russian facility. Billy's getting ready to leave the pool, but he hears the party making noises to bait him, and that's when Billy finds someone in the sauna, and bro is ecstatic. He cannot wait to get his hands on them. Look at him, he's really clapping out of excitement. But Billy falls for the trap, and Elle pulls up and slams him into the wall, and that's when they trap bro in the sauna and start turning up the heat. Billy falls down, and that's when he starts telling Max that it wasn't his fault and it made him do it. But my boy is playing the brother card and getting Max to drop her guard, and Billy picks up a broken piece of wall, and that's when he breaks breaks the glass and starts tweaking out. But when Billy's about to break out the sauna, Lucas comes in clutch with a nice rock straight to his cranium and knocks bro out. But the Mindflayer has completely taken over Billy's body and is able to break out the sauna. Like, ain't no way, bro. Billy and 11 are having a crazy stare down, but y'all know if you're about to squabble with Elle, you're about to get done so dirty because she do not play around, bro. She shows no mercy. And Elle slams Billy into the wall with a barbell that has a whole plate on it. But Billy got that Mindflayer strength on him right now and is able to outpower Elle, and he starts choking her. He got Elle looking crazy right now. This is not okay. But Mike is not about to let another man choke his girl out and hits Billy with his bar. But when Mike tries to finish the job, Billy grabs the bar and is about to violate Mike. But Elle is able to gather up some strength, and these two are having a crazy scream off, just shouting in each other's faces. But that's when Elle locks in and throws Billy out of there. She did not show bro any type of mercy. Hopper and just pull up to this house because they believe that the machine that is messing with the magnets is located there. And they start investigating the house, and that's when Joyce sees a hidden room under the bed. But we see the Terminator making his way to the crib. This cannot be good. Hopper finds Alexi in his comrade and he's trying to communicate with them, but they know zero English. But that's when Joyce tells Hopper that there's someone upstairs, and the Terminator makes his way to the room. But that's when my boy Hopper puts dude at gunpoint, and Hopper is telling the Terminator to drop the gun, but he says, or what, biatch? Like, oh nah, he's really showing no fear, out here moving like me for real. But Hopper is telling bro that he's gonna eliminate him from this life if he doesn't drop the gun, and my boy was not kidding around because he counted to 3 and actually shot a shot. But the Terminator is on a whole different type of timing round, and he weaves out the way. The Terminator is absolutely cooking my boy right now. Like, look how he flipped him. That's getting violated at its finest. But Hopper's had enough of getting whooped in front of his baby, so he grabs his wrench and hits bro straight in the kneecap. And look at Hopper, he's so proud of himself. Like, bro, you need to lock in and finish the job. Joyce tries to assist Hopper, but her slow ass throws the gun straight at the Terminator. Like, bro, how do you miss that bad? But that's when they start running away and snatch up my boy Alexis. Hopper is stressing right now and telling Joyce to quit screwing around because Joyce can't catch either and fumbles the keys. And Joyce is taking her sweet old time right now, and Hopper tweaks out and screams at her to drive. And Joyce is finally able to lock in and starts driving away. But that's when the Terminator comes out and goes full on Tony Montana mode. But these bozos are able to escape. Barely. Erica and Robin are yapping, and that's when Robin hears soldiers coming and she goes to warn the others. And when the soldiers leave, that's when Steve comes in with a high IQ plate and puts the capsule in between the door and floor, so they have some space to crawl out of the elevator. And that's when Dustin sees the long ass tunnel they gotta walk, and bro is already dreading it. Hopper has officially lost his mind because he full on hijacks this man's car. But the reason Hopper does this is because they need to go to Murray's place because he's the only person Hopper knows that speaks Russian. And while Hopper's committed a crime, you can see Alexi just cheesing and enjoying his Slurpee. Bro is just happy to be there for real. The scoop troops have made it to the end of the tunnel, and I don't know how they didn't get caught right here. If I was one of those soldiers, I would have spotted them right away because I got eyes like an eagle. But that's when Erica tells the others she saw the comms room, so they decide to take their chances, and I don't know how, but they're able to make their way into the comms. When they get in the room, they realize there's a guard in there, and I think my boy Steve was itching to run a fade because he starts shouting and rushes straight at the guard, and they start tussling, and my boy Steve hits this crazy weave right here, but he locks in and grabs his telephone and smacks bro straight in the face. Like, damn, you got knocked the fuck out. And that's when Dustin tells Steve that he finally won a fight, but Robin tells the others that she found something. And when they go to see what Robin saw, that's when they see the Russians reopening the gate, and Dustin and Steve cannot believe their eyes right now. Jonathan and Nancy are making their way to Mrs. Driscoll's room because they know she's flayed. But when they get in the room, she's nowhere to be found, and that's when Tom comes in and tells them that Mrs. Driscoll has gone home. But Jonathan is staying on business and slams a flower vase on bro's cranium. And when they get out the room, that's when they see bro right here, and brother starts chasing them, and these two run into this room to try to call for help, but this maniac finds them, and Jonathan tries to step up to bro, but just gets done dirty. And when bro's about to finish Jonathan, Nancy comes in for the safe and stabs him in the back, but that only makes bro furious, and he starts chasing Nancy. But my boy Jonathan cannot catch a break, and Tom pulls up just to violate bro even more. And when Tom's about to kill Jonathan, Nancy comes in with a safe again and is able to get a critical shot on bro, and since they're both flayed, they both do the impact, and that's when Jonathan and Nancy handle business and finish these bozos off. But the Mindflayer's not about to go out like a chump, and he melts these two and combines them to create this nasty ass monster, bro. Will senses the Mindflayer and tells the others that he's there with them, and we see the nasty monster chasing Nancy. Bro has already decided that Nancy's gonna become the sacrificial lamb, and we see Nancy about to get packed up, and this thing rolls right in her face. I know that breath must stink like crazy, but that's when Elle pulls up, and she is not playing around. She gets straight up business and violates this thing and throws it out the window. Robin is asking Dusty and Steve what the gate is, but that's when Erica tells the others that the soldier that Steve cooked is gone, and that's when the other soldiers see the scoop troops and they start running away. And these goofballs are running for their lives right now. And that's when they find a vent that will get them out of there. But Steve and Robin for some reason decide they're gonna become a sacrificial lamb. But the soldiers end up getting into the room and capture Robin and Steve. Hopper's trying to get some info out of Alexei, but bro does not want to cooperate because Hopper got him the wrong Slurpee. And this is completely understandable. I would do the same thing. But you can see Hopper gradually losing his cool and he starts going crazy on Alexei. And he crashes out and gives Alexei the car key so he can go get himself the Slurpee. And he tells Joyce and Murray that Alexei is not going anywhere. And Murray tells Hopper that Alexei started the car and is driving away. But Hopper says, nah bro, he's just bluffing, trust me. And when they go outside, they see Alexei and Hopper was right. Bro did not dip out. My boy Steve is currently getting tortured right now and they keep asking him who he works for. And Steve says Scoops Ahoy. And I mean, he's not lying. But obviously they do not believe bro and they knock his ass out. The sergeant asks Robin and Steve how they found them. And that's when Robin says the code they broadcasted. And that's when Steve accidentally exposes Dustin to the Russians. Like bro, come on. But the security alarm starts going off and that's when Dustin rushes into the room and casually catches a body. Elle is going into the void to get into Billy's mind. And Elle is able to reach one of Billy's happy memories with his mom. And we see some of Billy's trauma and the reason why he is the way he is. And that's because of Billy's dad and how he would abuse Billy's mom and him. But when Elle gets out the void, she realizes that she's by herself. And that's when Billy comes out of nowhere. And he tells Elle that she should have never looked for him because now they can see her. And Billy tells Elle that they've been building it just for her. And we see all the flayed people becoming goo. And that's when the Mindflayer reveals itself at its full power. The party's talking about what Billy told Elle. And that's when Will tells the others that the Mindflayer knows they're there. And when they go outside, that's when they see that vile, disgusting monster coming straight for them. And that's when the party starts getting prepared for the Mindflayer's arrival. And the first tentacle breaks into the house. And Jonathan's trying to be a stand-on business type of guy. But each time he steps up, brother gets cooked. I look feel bad for bro. And Elle steps in, but the Mindflayer sends 2 more tentacles. But Elle is able to get rid of those pretty easily. But the Mindflayer is not about to let that slide and sends a surprise tentacle for Elle. And that one is able to get a hold of Elle's leg. But Lucas is able to cut the tentacle off and Elle falls to the ground. But she still has the claw in her leg. Ugh. And Mike wastes 0 time and rips it right off. But now Elle is genuinely mad and she splits the Mindflayer in half. And that gives them enough time to get out of there. But we see the scoop troops make it to the elevator and they're finally able to get out the Russian facility. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows because these 2 guards see the troops and they go straight after them. Elle and Mike are talking. That's when Dustin is able to reach Mike, but he is not able to understand anything because Dustin's walkie is low on battery. But the party thinks quick and get Elle to look for Dustin and she's able to find him. So now they're making their way to the mall. But we see Hopper and them arriving at the fair because Joyce and Hopper think the kids are going to be there. Now the reason why they're looking for the kids is because Alexei told them about the Russians reopening the gate at Hawkins. And we see Alexei having some fun at the fair and bro is locked in and he's able to beat this game. And when he goes to find Murray to flex his prize, that's when the Terminator pulls up and Alexei just knows he's cooked. And that's when the Terminator shoots Alexei. The Terminator has crossed a line that is impossible to uncross. And Murray finds Hopper and Joyce and he tells them that they got Alexei. And that's when Hopper realizes that they're getting cornered. So he tells Joyce to go find Murray and get the car. Hopper makes his way inside this fun house and this Russian soldier is right after him. But Hopper deals with him pretty easily and even hits bro with the nastiest clothesline I've ever seen in my life. And that's when the Terminator makes his way to the fun house and starts looking for Hopper. And bro thinks he's found Hopper, but nah. Hopper finally gets his get back after getting his shit rocked the whole season by this dude and shoots bro down. He did not hold back at all. And that gives Hopper enough time to get out of there and Joyce scoops him up and they dip out. We see the scoop troops making their way through the mall, but when they're about to reach the door, that's when the troops and the guards see each other. So they start running away and make their way to the food court to hide. And this guard finds them and when they're about to get them, this car starts going off and they see Elle and the rest of the party. And Elle gets a quad kill because ain't no way any of these soldiers survive this. I'm telling y'all man, if you're on 11's enemy side, you're cooked. And that's when Dustin sees the others and he gets that uncontrollable smile when you see your friends. And everybody's catching each other up on what's been going on. But while they're talking, we see Elle and she is not looking good at all. And she ends up passing out. And she tells the others that it's her leg. And when we see the wound, there's a part of the Mindflayer dancing inside her leg. We see 11 and she's in agony right now. But Jonathan gets a knife and he tells Elle to lock in because it's about to hurt like a bitch. Jonathan cuts Elle's skin and puts his hand in the wound to try to get the parasite. And bro, genuinely, I'm being so that ass with y'all, I'm about to throw up. But Elle tells Jonathan to stop because she wants to do it herself. And she's doing her thing and is able to get the parasite out her leg. And out of pure pain and anger, she is just screaming at it, which I don't blame her at all, bro. But that's when Hopper and them pull up. And the kids are telling the grown-ups about the Mindflayer and how they need to close the gate to defeat it. And we see the party getting in the car because they're supposed to go to Murray's place to hide out. But Nancy's car is not turning on. So when Jonathan checks the whip, he peeps that the ignition cable is gone. And that's when they see Billy, and bro is just watching them. So they take the chance to get back in the mall before Billy tweaks out. And while Jonathan and Nancy are trying to get the ignition cable from this car, Will senses the Mindflayer coming. And when they look up, they see this thing on the roof, and that's when it falls down. And Steve sees the mall lights tweaking, so they try to communicate with the party, but the Mindflayer grabs the walkie and tells bro to shut his yap. So that's when Steve tells the other troops that he's gonna go to the mall to get them out of there. And when the Mindflayer's about to find Mike, Elle, and Max, Lucas is able to distract it, and that gives everyone a chance to get out of there. The only problem here is that Elle, Mike, and Max are split up from the others. Billy sees that one half of the party is trying to escape, so he starts driving straight towards them. He does not care. But when Billy's about to collide with Nancy, the goat Steve comes in clutch and rams straight into Billy's car. Hopper and Joyce make it to the combination lock, but when Hopper puts in the code, the lock does not open, and they realize the code is incorrect. But Dustin thinks quick on his feet and contacts his girl Susie because she knows Plank's constant. But before she gives Dustin the code, she makes him sing in front of everybody, and you can see everybody's reaction, and they cannot believe what's happening right now. Like, these bozos are trying to save the world right now, and we really got Dustin and Susie singing their hearts out. Like, that's crazy work. But once they're done singing, Susie gives them the code, and Hopper is able to open the safe that has the keys to turn off the machine. Billy wakes up and sees Elle, Mike, and Max getting out the mall, and he starts chasing them. And Billy's able to catch up to these slowpokes pretty quickly. And Max is trying to talk to Billy, but bro does not care and backhands Max like, bro. And then he proceeds to violate Mike, and Elle was easy pickets because her powers are not working right now. Hopper and Joyce make it into the key room, and when they're about to turn off the machine, that's when the Terminator pulls up and starts piecing my boy up. He's trying to get his get back for what happened at the fair. And we see Billy taking Elle to the food court so the Mindflayer can flay her. But the party comes in last minute with the save and are blasting the Mindflayer with fireworks. And Elle tries to skedaddle, but Billy does not let her, and he drags her back. And that's when the party runs out of fireworks, so Dustin tells Joyce that they gotta close the gate right now. And we see Hopper and the Terminator running their once. And Hopper hits the Captain America and tells bro he can do this all day. But the Terminator folded Hopper and got my boy in a real bad predicament right now. But Hopper's able to get his foot off his neck and makes him hit his face on the machine. And this dude must be an actual robot, because how did that not split his face in two? But anyways, Hopper's able to get a grip on bro, and he tells him that he'll see him in hell and throws him into the machine. But my brother kind of cooked himself because now there's a ring around him and he's not able to get out of there. Elle is using Billy's happy memory with his mom to get him out of the Mindflayer's control, and it works because Billy gets off Elle and squares up to the Mindflayer. And Billy's trying to fight the Mindflayer off, but unfortunately his two hands won't be enough to beat this thing. And that's when the Mindflayer connects a fatal blow that goes right through Billy's chest and kills him. And Max sees her brother get absolutely violated right in front of her eyes. And that's when Dustin yells at Joyce to close the gate, and she just looks at Hopper, but he gives her a smile and nods yes. And Joyce closes her eyes and turns off the machine, and we see the machine blow up and destroy everybody near it, including Hopper. And now that the gate has been closed, that causes the Mindflayer to be packed up again. And Max goes to Billy, and with his last breath he tells her that he's sorry. Elle is looking for Hopper, and when she spots Joyce, that's when she realizes that Hopper did not make it. It's been 3 months since the battle at Starcourt. We see Robin and Steve getting interviewed at Family Video, and Keith instantly hires Robin, but very rudely declines Steve's application. But that's when Robin persuades Keith by saying Steve attracts a lot of female customers, and little Steve cannot handle all that and will need his help with the ladies. We see the bars getting all packed up because they're moving out of Hawkins, and we see Joyce going through Hopper's jacket, and that's when she finds the note he wrote for when he was going to talk to Mike and Elle about boundaries. And that's when Elle walks in and asks if she can read the note, and by the end of it, it got her bawling out. Man, it even got me a little teary-eyed. But before Joyce leaves, she takes the time to look at her house one last time, and the season ends with her closing the door. So we thought, until we see a Russian prison, and this guard asks if they're taking the American. I wonder who that is. But the last thing we see is a Russian prisoner getting thrown into a cage with a Demogorgon in it. And that's how season 3 truly ends. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I'm gonna try not to yap a lot throughout this outro because my throat hurts, bro. I've been yapping for 3 hours. I am sick and tired of talking, bro. Deadass. But yeah, I'm gonna keep this outro short. I don't know when I'm gonna start season 4. I'm gonna start it real soon. I just don't know when. But if y'all did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one.